Hey, I'm Paris from Paris May Reads, and let's talk about my favorite books in 2024. All of these books are 5-star. We're gonna be going through multiple genres. So excited for this. I read over 100 books in 2024, and I only picked from my 5 stars to make this list for you. Here are some of them. I have a whole nother pile, and then some I read on my Kindle and don't own, but I am so excited to talk to you about all of my favorite books from 2024. Let's get into it. Since we have so many books to get through, I am just gonna tell you what they are, maybe a little snippet of what I liked about them, but I don't think I'm gonna go into the language, spice, all that stuff. I can add that down in the show notes. So if you have a specific question about a book, check out the show notes, and I will have all of my ratings down below for you to look. First up, we're doing fantasy. My top fantasy reads, I'm going to start with Divine Rivals. I threw away the dust jacket. But look at this beautiful hidden cover, okay? We got a foiled hardcover. This is the first in the Letters of Enchantment duology by Rebecca Ross. I loved this book. Loved it. I actually read this really early in 2024, and it opened the door to the fantasy genre to me, as well as my next favorite from the fantasy genre, What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. And again, this one, I read both of these right next to each other, and it is what made me get into fantasy. Third favorite is The House of Marion by J.L. It is the first in a trilogy, and the second one is Shadows of Pearl, and I have loved both of them. House of Marion was definitely my favorite of the two so far, but Shadows of Pearl ends on a cliffhanger, and it is wild. So I'm really excited for the third book to come out. Next up, we have the historical fiction genre, and we're gonna start off with, again, I actually thrifted this. It did not come with a dust jacket, but I probably would have thrown the dust jacket away. But this is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, and I absolutely love this. It is heartbreaking and will destroy you in the best way, also maybe not the best way. This is set in the area where I grew up, and it is about the Dust Bowl, and my grandmother was very young and lived through the Dust Bowl. I love this one. You can't go wrong with Kristen Hanna. The next one is The Stars We Hold by Melissa Armstrong. This is her debut book, if you can believe it. It is fantastic. This is set kind of on the heels of World War II, but in Yugoslavia and, oh no, what is it? Croatia area. So Eastern Europe, and I loved it. Any book that is World War II historical fiction that can be set in a different place or in a different storyline that I haven't read before, I love, and this one did that. Oh, and also it's based on her dad's true story. She wrote this based on his experience. So definitely check this one out. Next up, we have romance. Romance is a new to me genre this past year in 2024, and I have only been reading closed door books, which means that there is no explicit sexual content included in the book, if you do not know what that term means. So the only book that I actually physically own is Love and Other Goals, but I haven't lent it out. I gave it to a friend recently to read, so I don't have my copy on me, but that's okay. I will put it up over here. And this book is by Tracy Bach, and it is a sweet romance, sweet college romance. It follows a college soccer player and a super cute friend group. If you have ever been in the student ministry realm or were a part of a campus ministry in college, this will definitely bring back nostalgic memories for you, as it did for me. Next, we have Beauty and the Beach by Gracie Ruth Mitchell, and Gracie Ruth Mitchell is an indie author that is new to me this year as well. I've read a couple of her books now, and her characters are hilarious and quirky, and this one is some of my favorite tropes. It's a great summer read if you're looking for a summer book to add to your 2025 reading list. And finally, we have Nicole Van. She is top tier. I've been reading through her Pen Leads of Thistle Muir series, and my favorite that I've read more now, but my favorite of 2024 was the third one, because basically each book I read I like more than the previous one, and I have loved all of them. They're all 5-star, and it is One Kiss Alone. It has mild language, again, closed door romance, so no on-page explicit material, and it is set in England and Scotland, and it's just fabulous. If you've not read any of her books, go read them. Okay, next we have mystery thriller. I, at heart, am a thriller girly, and I have not been reading a lot of thriller and mystery recently, so these ones were a few that I read this year, and again, all 5 stars. Well, I think one of these was 4.5. Oh no, they were all 5-star. The only one that I actually own is Spectres in the Glass House. This is a Christian suspense by Jamie Jo Wright, and it was fabulous. It's set in October, and I read it in October, and it was the perfect spooky, cozy, dual timeline. It's really great. And it, again, is no language, spice-free. So definitely check this one out if that is interesting to you. And let's see, the next one, Five Survive by Holly Jackson. This is a completely different vibe. This is technically a YA, but there are a lot of F-bombs. So maybe you're 18 plus, 17 plus teen readers for this one. It has no explicit content, explicit content, but it does have quite a bit of language. These are a group of students that are driving down in an RV for spring break, and they get stranded, and there is a sniper outside, and it gets real intense real quick. And I love the pacing of this novel. Holly Jackson breaks it down by hour, and it is all within a 12 to 24 hour time frame, and it is so fast paced. So I'm like getting my heart rate is going up just talking about it. It is so good. And then finally, The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Riley Sager is my go-to thriller author, and he is an auto-buy for me. I have loved his book since his debut. I read it when it debuted. Final Girls, if you have not read that one, it is severely underrated. This one, The House Across the Lake, if you've read all of his other books, I thought this one was actually brilliant because I absolutely did not see the twist. I never see his twist, but this one was specifically good. If you've read his books and you read this one, you will know why. However, this twist specifically is a bit, it was a bit polarizing, I think. Some people either love it or they hate it. So take that with a grain of salt. I loved it. Next, we have nonfiction. And first, Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. Fantastic. This is based on a true story of an Olympic athlete, how he was drafted into the military in World War II, and he was in the Pacific. And again, this is in the realm of, I haven't read much about the Pacific side of World War II in historical fiction, and so reading this nonfiction, I actually listened to the audio, and it is narrated by Edward Herman, which is a treat. His voice on audio is just fantastic. So sad that he will not be on audiobooks anymore, but it is a delight to listen to him read Unbroken. And I'm not gonna say anything else about it because I didn't know any of the themes going into it, and so the ending was just astounding to me, but I would highly recommend this to anyone. Next up is Son of Hamas by Musab Hassan Yusuf. Everyone needs to read this book. It is a Palestinian's viewpoint of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and he eventually comes to faith in Christ. You have the Palestinian-Israel conflict dynamic, you have the Muslim-Christian dynamic, and it is just phenomenal. As a privileged American reader, every American should read this book, in my opinion. Next up, we have Cloud of Witnesses. This is edited by Jonathan W. Arnold and Zachariah M. Carter, and this changed my prayer life this year. It is a beautiful resource and something that would be a great gift for someone who has everything. If you're looking for a gift for someone, I mean, look at this beautiful cover. Reading people's prayers throughout history just changed how I approach my prayer life. My children are playing in the basement. My final part is series. These had to have their own category because they were just like tippy top of my favorites. The Elements of K-Astrology by Rebecca Ross, A River Enchanted, and A Fire Endless. While I love Divine Rivals, as a duology, it felt a little bit disconnected to me, but this duology, just as a whole, I loved it so much better. So if you haven't read this duology by her, I would absolutely recommend it. And next, if you follow me on Bookstagram, you probably know what this one is. Oh, I mean, so the final 3 books of the series have explicit content, but otherwise the plotting is phenomenal. And this series made me realize that I actually love epic fantasy, and less so the romantasy. So this one is helping me in 2025 to really dive into epic fantasy. Should I do a whole episode over this? I really did a really big deep dive on Bookstagram. All my reviews, all my reels, some reading guides. See if I open that can of worms again. And the final series is Red Rising. My brother actually forced me to read these. I read this after Throne of Glass, and this just solidified that I love epic fantasies. This is not necessarily a fantasy, it's sci-fi, but it is epic. And those are my favorite reads for 2024. I hope that you have added quite a few of them to your TBR. If you have read any and love them and we share any in common, please let me know in the comments. If you want me to do any type of full review episodes over them, also let me know in the comments. I would love to expound further upon any of them. As I said, I love them. They are favorites and all 5-star reads. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any of my episodes, and thank you for joining me. I will be seeing you soon.